It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you to the India Space Congress 2025. This session is going to be about integration of space products and services of GeM. For this, I have the privilege to invite session moderator AVM DV Khot, Director Strategy and Planning INSPACe. Please, sir, come on the stage. Proceed the session, sir. Thank you.
Very good afternoon to everybody gathered here. At the outset, a big thanks to the SATCOM Industry Association for organizing this particular session. We had a small discussion about this during the shaping period. And by a happy coincidence, both INSPACe, which I represent here today, and SIA have recent MOUs with the government e-marketplace, or GeM for short. And I think its time has come. We have been in conversations with the industry for some time, and it was very clear that there were certain issues to be sorted out, certain organizations that had to take place to ease both the demand generation as well as the ease of access to space products and services. And towards this panel, I believe, will go a long way to get ourselves a convergence of the perspectives from the three major entities who are involved in the government e-marketplace. One is the user himself, that's the government of India, who is obliged to make most of the purchases from GeM. Then we have the vendor ecosystem, the people, the space industry, which is going to make those products and services and place them on the e-marketplace. And the third is the government e-marketplace itself, which is responsible for building and hosting the entire space e-marketplace as a measure and as a very important component of the space ecosystem. So towards this, we have a very interesting group of panelists here. May I call on Major General Sanjeev Grover of Elena Systems. So, formerly must have been a very big user of GeM, and now on the vendor side of things. Similarly, Colonel Alok Parashar. He has worked directly in the procurement part of things while being part of the defense setup under DSA. Shri Anagh Dutt. He's the director of categorization on GeM. Mr. Amit Seymour of Satpalda. And do we have Mr. John Saripally here? Warm welcome to all the panelists here. So let me start here by introducing the topic with a few more nuances that are ordinarily unknown. Any kind of an e-marketplace is a huge leap from what used to be. And it's an instrument with which we can really accelerate market forces by leveraging the power of digital media and the ability to network the disparate and scattered elements onto one platform. The government e-marketplace is now over a decade old?
Yes, 9 years.
9 years, so nearly a decade there. All the initial users have pretty bitter memories of it. And I still hear a lot of bitter echoes from that time. But we have in our own service seen it improve in many, many, many ways. And the evolution that it has undergone over a period of time. Right now, I believe they're in the process of migration to an entirely new backend system. Yeah, and so all of this indicates that it is evolving rapidly to meet the requirement of its principal user, which is the government of India. All ministries, all departments, all field agencies were obliged to approach all procurements essentially through the GeM platform. What must be remembered is, unlike many other e-marketplaces, which go beyond the government and into the civilian space, where the vendors who are also making components and sub-assemblies have place, the government has really very little room to buy sub-assemblies and to buy component level. A government department will go for a finished product because it wants to operationalize it, employ it for what it needs to do. So which really means that the government e-marketplace, as it would apply to the space products and services, would be largely, not entirely, but largely confined to the downstream areas. The downstream functionalities in space tech that we talk about, Earth observation and remote sensing products, services, SATCOM-related products and services, and PNT-related products and services. All three are at an inflection point when it comes to the Indian space industry and the Indian space economy. As time goes, as time passes a little ahead, I think we would be looking at the possibility of even satellites coming up on the GeM. So that's now starting to head upstream. And there may be ministries who might want a constellation for specific purposes and specific intents for their own use. So it could evolve in that manner. But currently what we're looking at is essentially the downstream portion, which has to come onto GeM to make it easier for government departments to access it towards ease of governance, towards effective governance, towards efficiencies, towards getting an operational edge on things. Everything that government of India does. So with that, today's panel, let me quickly introduce them. General Grover is the senior-most person on the panel here. Here he represents Elena Geosystems, a veteran with over 37 years in the Army. He has qualifications from the International Business Management at IIFT here in Delhi, also a Master's of Management Studies from Osmania, and a Master's also in Defense and Strategic Studies. He has specialized in his career in surveillance and employment of UAVs, so that's another dimension that he brings to the table. Colonel Ashok Parashar was in DIPAC when I was DG DSA, so a colleague from our old days. He's an alumnus of IIT Roorkee, 20 years experience in defense as well as in the space industry, focused on the development of space programs, deployment and mission critical infrastructure, especially for surveillance systems. Currently, he represents Antaris Space India as the Vice President of Products, and he's also the CPO of Geminus Space. In Amit Seymour, we have a very experienced man from the field of satellite imagery, over 20 years experience. He's currently the director at Satpalda, a very prominent Earth observation NGE that we have here in India. And he also has a history of promoting and advocating for and collaborating towards advancing the use of satellite data and applications across a variety of private sector and government departments. In Anagh Dutt, we have, he's currently the director of category management at GeM. He's held several different positions at GeM over his 5 years there. And previously, he's had experience at Samsung, at Snapdeal, and at Honda Cars. Employee benefits, all three. Otherwise, he has a background in mechatronics. He's a mechatronics engineer and also an MBA in marketing and operations. John Saripally is from the SATCOM industry side of things and represents a company which has long been one of the suppliers of ISRO. So warm welcome to all the panelists here. And let me start at the center of the storm, that's GeM. So Anagh, I'd like you to touch upon the evolution of GeM. Like you said, it's been a checkered journey, and there has been, GeM started off, I remember in the early days, with just a few office appliances and amenities, with stationery and office appliances, printers and computers, right? And it was a bit of a nightmare. I can see AVM was agreeing with me on that one. But it has grown enormously in the range of products and services that it hosts now, all the way to manpower services, expert services, so even that part. And of course, the range of products which have grown from these very basic office amenities to high-tech products. There's also an increase in your clientele and a widening of your client base across government departments, a number of improvements to various processes, definitely an improvement in the UI UX side of things, which was again very, very rudimentary when we started. We would also like to know a little more about your vendor scrutiny and filters and how you have evolved in terms of ease of doing business. So that, with that, I'd like to just get an insight into what it is that we're dealing with in the government e-marketplace. Yes.
Great. Thank you so much, sir. I'll just give a quick introduction about GeM for those in this room who might not be aware of GeM. GeM happens to be the world's second largest public procurement platform after CONEPS, which is Korea-based, South Korea-based. Just last year, which is the last fiscal year, our top line, our revenue, in terms of US dollars was 65 billion approximately. 65 billion US dollars was our top line. Like Khot sir has said, we've grown from hardly 420 crore rupees as top line in 2016-17 to $65 billion or 5 lakh crores last year. We've all of this has been possible because of the vendors or the suppliers, the sellers as we call them, that are available on our platform. We've grown, currently there would be about 25 lakh sellers, active sellers I would say on GeM. We have about 10,000 plus, roughly 11,000 product categories. Like sir said, while we started with office supplies, but we have some of the most highly sophisticated, highly technical items available across industries. Anything that a government department might require, whether it's ISRO or whether it's a rural department in a state government. Other than that, in terms of services also, we have over 350 services or 325 plus services. Anything and everything under the sun that you would want to procure in terms of a service is available on GeM today as a category. We encourage the participants here, the delegates here, to go back and tell the industry, to tell people involved in the industry to onboard yourselves on GeM so that we can continue this journey. We understand, to answer sir's question, we understand that there have been in the past some issues related to different kinds of, whether it's buyer-facing, whether it's seller-facing. We've undergone a tremendous amount of change, especially in the last 4 years, I would say, since 2021. In terms of the platform, we made it extremely user-friendly for both buyers and sellers. Just recently, we've initiated an overhaul of the system where hopefully by December, we'll be coming out with a new platform. We're calling it GeM 2.0, which will be even more robust in terms of the vendor onboarding, in terms of the buying processes. Other than that, the issues that the vendors have faced in the past, we've streamlined a lot of them. We've re-looked at all our policies in terms of vendor assessment. So we have a very robust policy, I would say, in terms of vendor assessment that not anybody and everybody can directly come. While it's free, you can register free on GeM, but there is a small vendor assessment charge that one needs to pay. It's about 4,000 rupees roughly for any category that you wish to register in. There are set guidelines related to that category. For example, if it's an Indian standard-based category, so you should be able to prove that you have that certificate or any other compliances. So we check for all of those things. We had a partner in QCI, Quality Control of India earlier. Now it's RIGHTS, and so it has evolved quite a bit since then. And things are a lot different. So if I can just tell you that the perception needs to be changed about how difficult it was, let's say 4 years ago. If I can tell you, when we started, we had roughly 17 startups way back when we started in 2016-17. Currently, there are 32,000 startups registered on GeM. In terms of the order, so like I told you, so cumulatively, just last year we did about 65 billion or 5.4 lakh crores. Cumulatively, we've done about 14 lakh crores. Out of this 14 lakh crores, roughly roughly 8 to 9 lakh crores has in fact gone to MSCs. So not just big players, but even the smallest players, we've enabled. So as we progress, I can take you through some other things also as we progress through the discussion as to the interventions that we've taken.
Thank you so much, Anagh, for that initial insight. I have a question for you as a follow-up here. Now, you have a variety of different pages and categories there. Where exactly is space on GeM? Where do you find it? How useful is it in the current form to the government of India?
Right, sir. So, thank you, sir. So, in fact, we've recently concluded an MOU with INSPACe about 1.5 to 2 months ago. And we are working with INSPACe right now to create a separate page for space on GeM. The project that we're calling it, in association with INSPACe is Space on GeM. So it will be a dedicated page. So if you go to our website, which is gem.gov.in, you could just scroll and you would find there are different pages that we've created for different, for example, there's a separate page for startups, there's a separate page for Millet India, or bamboo products or whatever. Similarly, we would be creating a separate page for Space on GeM, which will give you additional visibility. And
where is it now? My question is more about.
Right now, it's a little difficult to find because but that is also a factor or a function of the demand that we have from government buyers. Government buyers probably would feel that these categories might not be available on GeM right now, and then which is why a lot of vendors from the industry might not be onboarded, which is why we won't have that category. But we are more than willing to create those categories. Once we get requests from buyers or sellers, and we're open to that absolutely. And once that happens, we can put it all together in one page. And in any case, we have some 10-15 categories right now, which we're planning to put on one single page for the ease of buyers.
We'll come to the plans at a later point. But suffice it to say that what's happened is, as things have evolved, in the natural course of things, many of these space products which are currently hosted have actually gone into different categories where they were the best fit. For example, there might be some data or data products which might have gone up into the software part. There could be some other devices which have gone into some other category there. So it would be safe to say that they are all safely concealed in different categories at the moment, and it's probably not an easy thing for a government department to find what is looking for under the current. And this was the basic assumption and the basic observation from which we started building this concept that we need to get a separate page for this. Let me come to the users here. And I think Colonel Parashar as well as General Grover would have been government users. And so let me start with Colonel Parashar, since he's directly dealt with procurement related to some of the high-tech items here, and General Grover will come to you just after that. So, Colonel Parashar, you've been a user and a client, including for high-tech items, and you've looked after the procurements at DIPAC itself. So what was the experience like from the user perspective there, and has the procurement of high-tech items moved? Is it easier today in your perception?
All right. So I'll take a step back and would want to go into the days wherein DG S&D used to promulgate rate contracts or rate lists, right? So I remember this was even before GeM came in. And it made the job so much easier for any department to procure. In fact, that list that was circulated was the first thing to look at. If it was already there, then he would not want to get into a lengthy procurement procedure, but to straight away take some approvals and place the supply order. Why? Because one, he is assured that somebody has already done the groundwork wherein the seller is authentic. One, there is a transparency in the pricing. He also knows that whatever he is buying, at whatever rate, it is applicable to everyone across the board. So he is not buying something at exorbitant rates. So he is also assured about that. And then graduating from there, GeM came in. Now, online platform has much larger visibility. Again, it came with the same attributes, transparency in pricing. Again, the vendors registered were authentic because somebody has done the exercise already for us in this case. What was added here was that now you can also initiate bidding. If you find that, yes, I can buy it at a better pricing, so instead of direct purchase, I could also go in for bidding. Right? What was still difficult was, moving across the platform into different categories to find what you need. So maybe this took some time actually from the initial days. Initial days, even the catalog was very, very small, so it was not much difficult. But as the catalog increased, there was some difficulty with respect to where to find those items. And if you do not have right keywords to search, you may not be able to exactly home on. So another challenge which I believe GeM would have already faced, because some of my colleagues served there too, was lot of e-commerce platforms came into the market at the same time. And so the user aspirations, since they were already using those platforms, Amazon and other, so user aspirations all of a sudden went very, very high. And that was, of course, would have been little difficult for GeM to catch up with. But nevertheless, it does all the basic things wonderfully. A lot of things are automated, your contract generation, invoice generation, payment systems. This itself brings down the time to procure quite a lot. Right? So once this time comes down, there is a easy adoption, I can say. If the item is listed on GeM, the procurement cycle itself is very, very reduced. This is one. And what I feel for space is what we are looking at is easy adoption from the user side. And this can help, actually only easy procurement can actually assist this, and only then things can be bought, the space products can come into this domain at a scale, which is now the requirement. So that is how I see. So it is very, very important role right now for GeM to incorporate space products and services. And how I see it from the user side, instead of creating the categories first, maybe some study with respect to the type of users. It can be somebody who is trying to consume the analysis ready data only, somebody who is trying to buy the platform or the softwares which can bring out analytics. There are users who do not want to own either of these. They straight away want insights to be coming to them. Right? So if we know the type of users, then the specific attributes of these products which are now available in space, it is then we go on to categorize those. I believe that this should be the right approach, to start from the users first.
I think that's a good insight, a bit of a user mapping exercise. And part of it is already there. I think both GeM as well as INSPACe, we have a certain amount of insight into that. But thanks a lot there. And I think a very positive insight from the user. General Grover, your experience and where you feel it has grown or not grown.
Thank you. Firstly, I would like to compliment the GeM entire team, the board, and the ideas. They have done a tremendous work. And like Alok had brought out, DGS&D was not very simple. We were generally doing copy-paste. And of course, it had a lot of agents and other malpractices. GeM, you'll all agree, is a fantastic platform. It has done wonders to our procurement, especially at the government, PSU, and the state levels. If I just highlight a few points, the ease of doing business has improved tremendously. Most of it, why it has improved has been already brought out. There is a standardized process. It is automated. The portal is very clear, categorization and other things are very, very simple, easy to understand, and a user and the deliverer or the seller can very well approach it. It's got a feature where the rejection can be challenged by the seller or whatever, and he has to get a response within a reasonable time, otherwise the bid doesn't go through. It's a fantastic option available. Similarly, there are far too many things which are positive about the GeM portal, issues, and the way it is working up, and the way GeM 2.0 will be coming up. However, there are certain things which take time to develop, which obviously are the issues which we are sitting here to discuss, and they are part of our attention here. And like AVM Khot rightly brought out, where is space? It is just got hidden. Now, I have a certain points which I would like to highlight, maybe from the vendor's perspective or maybe even from the buyer's perspective. Some of them are that it's a very good marketplace. It's a place where you display your warehouse. The seller picks it up and takes it on. Now, while we move ahead and get into the classification, the groupings, and how we can include INSPACe role and various other things towards development as we progress the discussion, I just want to highlight that when you come to the space enablers, or you come at GNSS, you always find GPS over there. Navic doesn't find a mention on the portal. It will take time. However, I just want to highlight, just by an example, that what you want to sell in the market, what is yours, you must give it a very high priority. You must give it a full market, all 4 Ps should be available. And we should be able to project it. Today, Navic is not looking at subsidies. It's more accurate than GPS. It's free. It's available for us. It's something which should be the default value when you put on GNSS and GPS. Just for example, while we proceed further, I'm very sure other co-panelists will have far too many good issues to discuss, and the audience also will come out with very fine points so that we can move forward with the GeM. It's an excellent portal. It's an excellent piece of work, and I wish them very good luck.
Thank you, General Grover. Let me come to, so I have a surprising amount of positive feedback here from GeM users from the government, and there could be some other different insights which may come from the audience when we visit there. But at the moment, let me now turn to the people who are going to or have already placed products on that. John and with Amit here, and also to that extent, General Grover, who are on the vendor side of things now. So I want to ask the industry, what is it that you are going to field for the government of India as products, as services, as systems, which are, like you said, finished products? So let me start with Amit. Yeah, we're really looking at the range of offerings that the industry has currently and are likely to come up in the immediate future.
So let me start by saying that the current procurement system, so if I talk about remote sensing data and derivatives, there is a user. Okay, he has got a technical background. He knows what he requires. Then once the RFP is built, it goes to the procurement team. Now the procurement team doesn't have a clear-cut understanding because they are procuring, let's say, products, services. So firstly, where to place it? Because on GeM currently, for downstream space, there are no categories as such. So if I talk about, let's say, satellite images or derivatives, it goes normally as a custom bid. So that is one challenge that exists today, because it needs to be simplified for the procurement people as much as possible to make it as granular as possible. Secondly, when we come to the specification side, there are very varied specifications in remote sensing data. So, there's electro-optical, there's SAR, there is hyperspectral, there are multiple products. Even in them, in the individual categories, there are different resolutions, band combinations. Clarity has to be provided on that. It has to be made very, very detailed and granular. Now, besides the data, there are also derivatives, derivative products like image-based maps, terrain models, multiple industry-specific solutions. Let's say for the solar industry, there is a specific product. How are those products going to be categorized and defined on GeM? One step ahead of that is a lot of providers, vendors such as us have developed data dissemination platforms. So now it's a subscription based. Traditionally, it was always, you define your area, so many square kilometers, this product, and you roll it out into a tender. But now when you're talking about a subscription based model, a lot of users are facing challenges because even in their procurement guidelines, there is no methodology for a subscription-based model. Yeah. So this also needs to be factored in.
Absolutely. A very good point there. John, would you like to? So from the SATCOM industry's point of view, so finished products and services, what is it that you have on offer for the government of India?
Good morning to ladies and gentlemen. I thank INSPACe, SIA-INDIA for giving me this opportunity to speak to you all on GeM portals. Incidentally, we are also members. We have taken the, we are registered with the GeM portal, and we have already participated, I think, some 3-4 tenders also. You all know this satellite communication is a different segment, and it contains ground stations or ground segment, and then the space segment, and the other one launching segment, that is launchers and all that. You know very well how even ISRO has come to this stage. Incidentally, I started my career in satellite communication way back in 1971 when I joined ISRO. So I know how the industry has moved, or ISRO has moved all these 55 years. That time when we have started, the industry was called to manufacture these ground segment antennas, because that is the one which is more available for doing the, that can be given to the industry. That is how our ECIL, Electronics Corporation of India, was brought into line to manufacture the antennas and all that. Incidentally, I worked there, and then later on in 91, I started my company. Now, why I am giving this whole history is, it is only the ground segments, antennas to start with, they could give it to the industry. Otherwise, much of the work was done by the scientists and others in the, say, for the development of the satellites or the PSLV, GSLV, all these launch, rockets and all that. Today, I think that is the position. Probably the ground segment can be, something can be given to GeM portal for all that. For example, even we have received few inquiries for the, antennas, because there are 3-4 other vendors also who can be brought into this and see that the government gets the lowest prices and all that. There also, I find now, what we have to, segregate into this one is, first, the specifications should be very, very clear that what are the various criteria, like I say, it is not only the, technical specifications like meeting the ITU 580-6 or anything, but the other things also, how they are manufacturing the antennas and all that. For example, today, the antennas to meet the car band specifications and all that, it needs that we have to go by carbon fiber manufacturing or by stretch forming and all that. Incidentally, we are using stretch forming for the bigger antennas, and the smaller antennas we are using the fiberglass. So this one is GeM portal, probably they should now start going into such details also, so that other people are not allowed to come into this, or there can be so many other industries who can also come into the fold and really go for this one. And another thing, of course, you are going for this reverse tendering and all that, reverse auctioning and all that. To some extent, it's okay, I feel. But if some people who do not know the real, the problems in the, say, for example, manufacturing the antennas and all that, and finally, if they don't meet the specifications, the government will end up in problems. That you have to avoid. That's what I want to, because I am doing this, antennas for the last 34 years now, my company, Comsat Systems. And today I can tell you I am selling my antennas to US and others for even car band. How? Because, I have, our company has grown with the technology. So you have to see such companies also, which are really, who can compete the worldwide market and all that. So I think
just a follow-on question to you. Now
Yeah.
you have been producing, let's say, antennas, and you probably specialize in those
Yeah.
areas. The government of India is rarely going to buy antennas alone, right?
It
They
is
need
true,
an
yeah.
end-to-end ready system.
Yeah, correct.
So what is it that you anticipate that the government of India, various field, agencies would be there, there would be different departments, there'd be a lot of, especially for SATCOM, there would be more of field applications. So what are the kind of products that would be required by the government?
Yeah.
And as industry, do you plan to diversify into that?
Sir, I am already doing that. My antennas are being sold to defense, ISRO, broadcast segment. Throughout India, probably, our antennas are there.
That's good. to hear.
Okay? And today, we are exporting our antennas also. We have come to that. Why I am telling? We have grown with the, technology and brought to this level.
You get that,
So
yes.
today, GeM portal or anything, we can definitely work with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, I'm looking at Amit here, also General Grover, and then later Alok, since you're on this side of things now. What are the peculiarities of fielding space technology products and services on an e-marketplace? One is when you have a one-on-one kind of collaboration going on, a dialogue going on with a customer, that's a different thing. But when you're going to present it on that, and there's going to be comparison and a variety of different products, for the same client.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there are certain peculiarities, there are certain technical specifications, right? How do you plan to meet the clarity requirements on technical specifications as the vendors, as the people who are producing that? Okay, and in terms of credibility and authenticity and dependability of whatever, how do you intend to inspire consumer confidence in your offerings when placed where you can't sit across the table and discuss it with them, but all of it has to come on a digital portal?
Yeah.
So,
Can I just give
yeah, okay,
one
let's
small
start with
thing? Anyway, the first criteria for any GeM portal is the specifications. They should be met in toto. Means no. See, each and every specification it has to meet. The second thing is the financial part of it is also you have to see whether the company will be able to take up that or not. Whether they have the resources to take up the work and all that. and the technical capabilities of the people actually who are working there, what is their background and all that. So that is also very important. See, startups have every, accolades for them because they want to come up and all that. We should, yes, we have to promote our, young entrepreneurs and all that. But at the same time, you have to also see whether they will be able to meet the specifications or not. That is very, very important. And financial thing also is very important. For example, if you want to give a 30 crores project to a 10 crores level, this one, you have to see whether they will be able to do it or not. That is also very important. Yes, thank you.
Amit, would we start from you?
To answer your question, sir, what normally happens is that, how things have evolved in terms of the user side. Today, users ask for samples of data or insights. They sorry.
Can you hold the mic a little closer?
Okay. They technically, run the product, evaluate the insights with, reference to their use case, and thereafter they move it to the procurement stage. Now, if I talk about insights, today from consuming raw data, it's moved more towards the insights side because because of awareness also and availability. So from that perspective, when it moves to the procurement process, if let's say I have a particular land deformation solution, now how do I put it onto GeM? That is where, because you see, that's why I said it needs to be as granular as possible. But again, that said, this is going to be ongoing because these kind of solutions are evolving the insights. So they are going to continue to evolve over time. So probably GeM could take a proactive approach and, as these new solutions or insights get developed and come into the market, they can keep probably onboarding. It's an ongoing process.
Yeah, so I think the point that is emerging quite clearly here is that when you have, for example, when you have data, right, and there'll be a number of different data disseminators who will have a variety of data solutions. So the source of data in terms of what constellations it is being derived from, right, and then the parameters which need to probably come onto the portal to say, these are the bands that are being sensed, these are the resolutions, and so on and so forth. These are the scene sizes, other parameters. So there needs to be some kind of a uniform template into which different people can fit their technical parameters. So there is scope for comparison. So it can't be completely scattered based on what a vendor may feel he needs to put. So there needs to be a lot of work to be done together between the industry and the GeM authorities to develop these common templates, right? And that's I think one of the tasks where industry will have to really participate, at a very granular level for that.
Can I add one or two, please? See, incidentally, I came to know how US, they are doing this sort of, getting, say, new works or anything to be done and all that. First, they give you a notification that these things are required and all that, and they give the specifications and all that. They call for the papers or proposals and all that. So once they receive the proposals, they see whether it is more or less meeting the specifications and all that. So then they decide on 2 to 3 parties, and they give a letter of intent, like even with the.
But that sounds like a normal procurement processes. Here,
but even then, that is working fine because.
No, that has always worked fine. The question here is, we are looking at hosting all of these on an e-marketplace, where the person can do the comparisons on the screen and does not have to directly collaborate as a first step. He will eventually get to that point. But that should not be the starting point. The whole idea is to shorten the process by having direct access to what can be hosted on the portal. So in which case, for comparison purposes, also for clarity and for authenticity, there will have to be a lot of vendor effort. So our point is that how do you intend to, as the vendor, to
Sir,
inspire confidence that what you're doing or what you're saying is actually what it's going to be?
But what I see is that, see, for example, specific products. One example I'll tell you. For LEO satellites, for example, it requires altogether different configuration of mounts to make the, to meet the specifications and all that. Such a thing probably when we are registered with the GeM portal, probably we would not have given all those particulars. So when you are going for a particular product and which you are going to, offer to the market, so probably you should also give such a finer points so that the people can understand the, this. That should be done, sir.
Yes. Alok?
Now, I'll just add a few points here. Probably what underlying thing I see here is there are some peculiarities within the space products. To compare, if say you are buying a computer, you have a straightforward requirement, 16 GB RAM, so much of storage, this kind of screen, yeah. And once a manufacturer is producing, he has exact replicas of the same. While in space products, I'll pick up one example as satellite imagery. Right? If a user demands imagery of a particular area, so obviously we know that such a imaging has happened historically also. But at each point of time, these would vary depending on what was the cloud conditions, what was the sun angle, so many things. So the same product demanded by the user is going to be different at different points of time. So what is necessary here is building some kind of standards which INSPACe is already doing, and those standards are brought into the platform in the form of quality checks before they are dished out to the users. Another very important point made by Amit was, these days, first you have to showcase to the user that this is my product, this is the quality and such like things, and only that the user will get convinced. But this is true with all emerging technologies. This pain period has to, happen, but we are at the last stages of that pain period, wherein I believe most of the departments which are using space products are quite well aware of what kind of product is there and what they intend to be, what kind of insights they require from those products. So knowledge gap is not what I see now, because last 3 years, a lot has happened with private companies coming up and other information platforms that are available. So ease of adoption plus how do we maintain, because assurances can only come if there are some quality checks even when the product is delivered. So the platform necessarily has to have some layer of checks before it goes to the user. So building this, incorporating this with the help of the standards which are laid down by INSPACe is something I think everybody is looking at.
I think excellent points there, Alok. General Grover, you have a point.
I would further bring out certain aspects as relevant to us into the space domain. All our procurements are a little complex, customized. They have a much different way of procurement from the normal consumer-based goods. Now, there has to be someone who has to sort out this complexity. There has to be some intermediates in space, I believe, like the DARPA in US, or maybe such organizations at various levels are the ones who have to step in. They have to make sure that the space, which is an expanding frontier, which is 10 years back, Starlink was something out of fiction. Today it is the in thing. Another 10 years, I'm sure there'll be far too many applications, demands, procurements, and processes for space industry. So believe you me, there has to be someone who has to decompress or make it simple for both the ends, especially the GeM portal, how it is to be put in. A lot of points have been brought out, which are the complexities, but towards the space procurement, how it has to be done, someone needs to be very, very sharp and broad understanding as to what the processes are. The demand has to be aggregated, customized procurement has to be done. So the entire processes have to be streamlined and put into the GeM portal. Apart from it, when you look at INSPACe, SIA, or various other organizations, they have a role to play. And as we move forward, I think we should be able to discern as to how this entire complex procurement could be made very simple, systematic, and as per our requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, General Grover. Okay, Anagh, I'm going to come back to you now. You've heard the few issues that have been discussed so far. I'd like to take your insights into what is already on and how you intend to address some of these issues as we go ahead.
Right, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So we heard from all the gentlemen on the stage. There are a number of issues that they've highlighted. The first one, I think I would talk about category specifications. I think a lot of people have talked about it. When we create a category on GeM, the process is consultative. In fact, we call meetings for every category that we create on GeM. It's called a consultative committee meeting, or CCM. We publish a schedule on our website also so that you can see as to when the next CCM is planned for a particular category. When we say consultative, we call players from the industry as well as users when we decide on or the category specifications. A lot of the categories that the gentlemen here have referred to might be quite old, might not have have evolved over the past few years, or might be completely wrong also. I'll admit that. But that's the reason we are here today, and we've been working with INSPACe also to help us standardize these specifications. If INSPACe can do that, or we can sit together with INSPACe and the sellers or the vendors at large, and if they can tell us about the common use items, so we can start with the common use items at first, and or the most commonly procured items rather at first, and we can set those specifications. We could set those standards, and then we can allow only those players. I understand there was a concern about how startups should not be allowed. Sir, fortunately or unfortunately, GeM has 3 pillars. The first one is efficiency, the second one is transparency, and the third one is inclusivity. It is our endeavor to make sure that everybody on GeM gets an equal footing. Our processes are transparent, we are a cashless, faceless, all of those things. And we also try to be inclusive so as to allow anybody and everybody to participate. It is up to the buyers. So typically, like you said, bidding is possible on GeM. So during the bidding stage, it is possible for the buyers, the government buyers, to set certain conditions, a pre-qualification sort of. So where they can say that, this is the minimum amount of turnover I'm looking at, let's say. It might be restrictive. So this is not something that we encourage. But there could be some performance related issues that the buyer has faced, and so in that case, typically some buyers would end up putting up conditions like some X amount of turnover or X amount of past experience supplying to the government and all of this, and I'm sure the gentleman here and the audience at large is also aware of such things. So that is the way it could be handled. The other thing was about reverse auction, I think. Right, sure. Sorry, sir? Yeah. Okay, right. So that's all from my side. I think I wanted to, so we're looking forward to interacting with the industry at large through INSPACe or directly. We have our offices right here in Delhi and Jeevan Bharati, and we encourage you all to meet with us, to help us. Please speak to your buyers. Please tell them that why don't you raise a request on GeM to create the category, and in about 2 weeks to 3 weeks, we create a category, and we welcome all of you on board.
Thank you, Anagh. I'm going to open it up for questions and comments from the audience now. Everyone, sir?
Thank you very much for enlightening us about the GeM and how GeM is working and how it has evolved. I have a question for you, Anagh.
Right, sir.
I'm hearing here that GeM 2.2 will come.
Right, sir.
So we are talking about the database that you are already having, where you are interacting and the buyer and seller are interacting on that part.
Right.
Suppose I want to get into a GeM, but that product which I want to see is not there.
Right, sir.
Are you thinking of putting AI, LLM into that? What is not there can be fetched and brought on the table. Alpha. Bravo, somebody mentioned about the antenna. When I want to seek a system, then is there any possibility of a stack coming into play? Suppose antenna is there, RF is there, ground station equipment is there, all I can see in one go. Apart from the comparison thing which ABM Khot has mentioned about, if I am buying from X, is that product is available with YZ, and the comparative chart is there.
Right.
So the thing is this, the system, if it is not using these LLMs today, will become less efficient. And you have the database which somebody has ported, but something you can fetch automatically onto your system. This is what I wanted to know from you.
Right, sir. So we have a pre-populated list of categories. It gets automatically updated every time a new category is created. It's all there on our website. Our website is quite contrary to what somebody might believe about the government. Very fast, very quick, and we in real time we make our updates. So every category that gets updated gets enlisted, and for you to see, and you can see the specifications, you can see everything about the category. So that's the second part of your question. The first part, we encourage buyers to tell us. So for example, if you have a category, if you want to enlist your product and there's no category on GeM for it, you could request your potential buyer, and if they could write to us, that'll be great. Or, I mean, that's the simplest way to go about it, because then we get a mandate also. But however, in case you need to create that, if you want us to create that category, let's say there's no awareness in the buyer ecosystem, and that's why we are more than happy to help you. We are more than happy to discuss with you. We'll not call you, however, we'll call maybe at least 2 more people like you, because the rule that we follow is at least 3 OEMs for any category. Other than that, we have, in case there are startups present in this room, we already have some 14 globally recognized startup segments available where you can directly go and enlist your products, whether it's cybersecurity, AI, blockchain, agriculture, health tech, med tech, whatever. And sir, about the comparison of the items that you were talking about. So within a category, these typically would become parameters or specifications or features within the category. And everybody who enlists, so let's say if it's a drop down essentially when you're creating your catalog. So let's say a bad example, but let's say if you were to choose color, and then we would have given options for black, white, green, yellow, blue, whatever. And if you wanted to compare who has, so you want to compare a black with a blue one, that is possible on GeM. So that is currently possible. It all depends about, it all depends on how robust the category is, how well the category has been made. And that depends on how well our interactions are with the industry, because we really want your help, and we want you to come tell us that these are the standards, this is how it is, and we look forward to working with INSPACe also with that, on that.
What I wanted to say, you have said the passive exercise.
Right, sir.
Somebody has to approach you.
Right, sir.
I'm saying a LLM will tell you what
Right, sir, about the AI part. Right, sir, right, sir.
And then you call them.
Correct, sir. So on that also, there is we have a different function, and they're already working on this. In fact, we're developing it as we speak. We've had a pilot just last week on this, and we are trying to identify all such categories. So so categories on GeM are based on the INSPACe code, right? So we have, like I said, about 11,000 product categories and about 300 service categories. But yes, we're trying to explore as to what we are missing really. And there is a pilot that has been I'm not sure if it was successful, but there was a pilot just last week. So I can take it offline and we can discuss it further, sir.
Anybody else? Marshal Bedi?
Hi, thank you. I'm Marshal Bedi. Just a question. You just said that you need 3 OEMs, for each category, right?
Right, sir.
So now, on one hand, space is a niche sector. We are talking of innovations. So if I make a product and it's innovation only of its kind, then I must find 2 other guys who have done the same thing for me to be registered on GeM?
Not really, sir. Not really. That's not the case. You would have a base product, and maybe there is a feature that sets you apart, that differentiates you from the rest, right? So if it's that, then we allow you, so because there would be a base product and there would be a feature that you've built on top of the base product that will differentiate you. So that is something, yes, that's fine. That is fine. But at least for the base product, we would require a certain number. However, having said all of that,
What
It
if
is
it's
up to the
completely
sir.
new? What if it's completely new?
Yes, sir. So
It's the
it's
first of its kind.
right, right, sir. So it could. So even in that case, there is something known as a PAC buying that certain buyers.
No,
can go
I
for.
mean, there has to be a set procedure. The very fact we are kind of thinking on the spot. The thing is that because it's a new sector, okay,
Yeah,
now
right.
I don't know, GeM is made to help only the government to buy or the entrepreneurs to sell. I mean, it has to serve both.
It is. Yes.
Okay, because like you see other market, you know, you talk of Amazon or Flipkart or etc., they help both, right?
Correct.
That you can sell, and what AI ML he was talking of, that like, you know, you have a feature, it tells you the people who bought this also bought this.
Right.
Okay, I mean, you know, it tells you complete ecosystem that you probably have a related product here, related product there. Because now to get into GeM, you know, even if I want to sell something like in your own words, I must approach a buyer, then tell buyer to approach you.
Sir. No, sir. That you can do that in case you want, because you would have a potential buyer if you do that. We can encourage you to do that, but you can also tell us directly. I can meet you right now after this, and we can have a long discussion on it. I don't mind that. You can do that. You can tell us, and we will, in case there is if we are able to examine and we find that there is a great need for it, we will create the category. And and it's not an issue at all. And we are, like I said, we are very inclusive, and you might have an innovative product, and we encourage you to come onto GeM. And so we can take it offline, sir,
Yeah.
in case you want.
No, thank you. Just a point.
Yeah.
Gentlemen there.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Rikuman Senthil from DSA. I have a small question. This is regards to space products. Most of them, whether it is product or service, generally the cost is slightly higher. So is there a provision for consortiums to register multiple entities in GeM, giving us a product or service?
As a group.
Yes, sir, consortium.
I believe right now it might not be the case, but I will have to check. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I think if a consortium comes under one umbrella kind of a heading, then it's one entity. Would that be correct to say?
Yes.
Would that be fair? Okay. Please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rajiv Kumar, DDG in Doordarshan. We are really a large or major user of satellite item. We are using a lot of satellite items, and we do procure through GeM also. But we are facing quite a peculiar problem that we are in the need of something which is quite professional in technical quality. So we find a lot of difficulty in doing that through GeM. Our request with the GeM, we have already taken up, that there should be kind of professional categorization of equipment, and there something like professional broadcast equipment. There satellite-based equipment may be there, and other studio equipment, camera, and other things can be placed. And the same equipment can appear in two professional categories, as that is a broadcast category where satellite equipment are required, and at the same time there may be very specific satellite uses. There also the same equipment or system can be placed. Is it possible? Or and then second point, how to approach for that?
Sir, it is possible. You would have a nodal officer, or I can meet you and I can give you my email ID, and then yes, you can just approach us directly. So that's very simple. Yes, it is possible, and yes, you can just write to us.
I love this kind of question answers. Okay. Well, I think we're coming to the close of this session and are running out of time here. But okay, so what I'm seeing emerging from this at $65 billion, or 14 lakh crores cumulatively, and 25 lakh sellers, we are looking at a pretty powerful entity and possibility. So to get space products and services on GeM is definitely going to be a very important step, in making it accessible to the government users. And traditionally, we've looked mostly at the strategic sector as the anchor customer for things related to space, but that's changing. And now it's spreading to all kinds of ministries and departments and field organizations there. What came out very clearly also that there is a system that is evolved in vendor assessment and compliances. Startups have a special place. MSCs are strengthening. So overall, towards the space ecosystem, I think it's playing its own part rather well. There are issues now going ahead when we look at these peculiarities of any high-tech area. And there are other high-tech areas which are represented adequately. So it's not that we are reinventing the wheel in toto, it's just that the domain is changing and space technology products and services will have their own peculiarities which have to be onboarded. So we have to adapt the system, and so this is the start of that particular journey. Some of the issues that were flagged by the panelists here are related to the standards and the quality assurances. How do you ensure the authenticity of what somebody is going to come up and say? We've had these old experiences of the fly-by-night operators who tended to really put things in a whole different perspective and was a negative signal. User mapping, I think that's an important thing that has come out as well. Navik was another point made by General Grover there, and Navik products and services are definitely going to be there. Okay, let me quickly come to the issues that we are tackling right now. Where are we in this process of collaborating with GeM? INSPACe is an enabler. INSPACe is a promoter of the Indian space industry. It is also the regulator and supervisor of activities. So what we are trying to do here is to promote the Indian space industry in particular, making it accessible to the government of India so that both the demand side as well as the supply side are eased. So at this point of time, after the MOU that we have with GeM here, and we have onboarded, some of our members are seated here in this panel itself, onboarded the space industry representatives to play that very important part of bringing clarity to certain important issues like technical specifications. You go to Amazon, you're looking for tables, for example, and you have a certain set of technical specifications there. We need to do the same thing about space products and services. What are those going to be? There are going to be, from the SATCOM side of things, there are going to be user devices, transportable things that government people would like to use, VSATs, hubs, all of those things. On the GNSS side, everything from handheld personal navigators to platform-based and customizable systems. And similarly, on the Earth observation and remote sensing side, we're going to see not only data itself being disseminated, but value-added services, including such things as platform as a service, satellite as a service, ground station as a service. All of these are going to have a place in the government e-marketplace. So that's the range of products and services that we see unfolding over the next few years. Now, this is going to take a lot of hard work, and this is only the beginning of the story. So industry, INSPACe as the enabler, and GeM are going to have to collaborate at a very granular level to make sure that the initial offerings are solid enough to actually serve the requirements of what we're going to do. User training and user familiarization is going to be another area. The typical government user, let's say from the Ministry of Agriculture, he needs some space data products. He's not necessarily a technical person. In fact, he's almost assured that he's not a person who understands space technology very well. How are we going to make it easy for him to understand? So that whole UI UX part also has to take the user into consideration, and we probably need to do something that GeM has already been doing, which is running campaigns for user familiarization and user training towards this. But from the user perspective, from the consumer's perspective, we probably need to have also programs within the system to bring people up to speed so that they're able to actually exploit what is going to come up there. So these are, I think, the main points or the main challenges that we see ahead of us here today. And once again, thank you very much to SIA for allowing us all to have this panel here. And thank you very much for the panelists. In fact, I feel we're going to need one meeting less here. So many things have come out.
Can I add? Whenever such, requisitions come, probably they can select a few companies and send them a note. This is the specific, this one, whether you will be able to quote or anything. Probably that also will help you so that you are sure that you are giving the inquiry to the correct. Probably.
Thank you. Thank you for that input. I think that is going to be an important part of the process. With that, thank you very much to the audience here. And can I just ask for a round of applause for our panelists here? Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, sir. As a token of gratitude and appreciation, we now present the mementos to our eminent panelists. Mr. AVM TV Khot, please present the mementos to our panelists. Anagh, sir. May I now invite Mr. D.S. Govind Rajan, board member of SIA-INDIA, to please present the mementos to our session moderator, D.V. Khot, sir. Come forward for the group photograph, please.